We were treated unfairly, to some extent, like guinea pigs. The damage done by the Tuskegee study is much deeper than the wounds any of us may have suffered. It speaks to our faith in government and the ability of medical science to serve as a force for good.
It's understandable the mistrust that many black people have because of what happened in Tuskegee. The tragic syphilis study, I heard about it just like the rest of the nation did in the summer of 1972 when I was running for mayor of Tuskegee. I made a statement and I took this as my platform. Elect me mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, and never again will we allow the federal government, the state government, or any other governmental body to come into Tuskegee, Alabama and take advantage of our people. That was my platform, and I meant it. What was so mean and cruel about this study is the fact that the federal government discovered that penicillin would indeed cure syphilis. Yet the federal government would not administer the penicillin to a group of 600 black men because they wanted the men to stay untreated in the study until they died so that they could complete the autopsy. Now, how cold your government doing something like that? But there is no reason in 2021 for any American to say that I'm not going to take the vaccine because of what happened in Tuskegee. In this day and time, black scientists, black doctors are involved in the development of the vaccine. They are involved in helping to shape the public policy, which makes it possible for this vaccination program to be administered to the American people. That's why I wanted everyone to see me taking the shot. I wanted my friends who doubted to see that I was not afraid to take the shot. Miss Diane Robinson may have had some reservations, but she made the decision to take it. Miss Johnny Harrison, a young lady who's 84 years young, retired teacher, had some reservations, but she took it. Virginia Peterson, a descendant of Lewis Adams, the man who brought Booker T. Washington here to Tuskegee. Orrin Gorin, who's originally from Trinidad but lives here in Tuskegee, Alabama, grew up in New York. Not only did he decide, but some of his buddies, he's tried to convince them to take it. Alton Mitchell, who works for the local Tuskegee News, has decided to certainly take it. We are proud people. Tuskegee, Alabama is actually loaded with history. We're proud of our history. John Lewis talked about good trouble. Fighting racism, fighting hunger, fighting inadequate health care, fighting COVID. It's a war, and you have to fight it just like you would fight any other war. I'm willing to go to jail, I'm willing to die for it, I'm willing to struggle for it because it is right. The struggle goes on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. Brought to you by Chambers and Galen Law Firm with your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.
And welcome into the pregame show here on the Black College Sports Network. Charles Bishop and Neely. And I tell you what, we are officially inside of camp. It is day 2, if you will, today. When you take a look at Jackson State getting up and going with fall camp, Neely, the excitement is palpable in the air for our Jackson State Tigers for this upcoming 2021 season.
Yeah, Chuck, it depends on where you count from. Today was day 1. Yesterday was day 1. Today was really that officially first start of practice. So, you just had check-ins yesterday, the fitness test, some team meetings and expectations and setting the tone. But the day when the Tigers got out there was truly that day 1. But everybody had to report in August 2nd, which was Monday. Either way it goes, we're about 30 days away from the Orange Blossom Classic down in Miami. And so, the pregame show is all about bringing you guys looks inside the game before the game begins. So over the next 30 days, there's not just going to be Saturday shows, man. There's going to be shows that pop up like a shower in Mississippi. It's going to rain at any moment because when something happens, we're going to get it to you. Chuck and I will be at practice with the access that Coach Prime has granted us. So every other day or so, we're going to just be bringing you guys some news from practice, from team meetings, from conversations with coaches that we know Tiger fans want to hear about.
Of course, Neely, and we call you Mr. Boots on the ground for being right there in front of everything. Of course, I'll be joining you over the next part of the week as we get more footage. But you mentioned it. We're about 32 days, 3 hours, 57 minutes, school days moment, and 59, 58, 57 seconds from the Orange Blossom Classic. But I tell you what, it should be fun. Looking forward to it. But this is where the rubber meets the road, if you will. This is camp, and we've been able to kind of get a little behind the scenes peek in terms of what has gone on thus far. I mean, when we kind of stop and take a look at it, the guys checked in on Monday. They went through the various protocols with regards to checking in, and you had various meetings. You had meetings with compliance, academics, financial aid, housing, student affairs. They met with the law enforcement cadre, if you will, with regards to Jackson State. But a busy Monday leading into Tuesday.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Chuck. If I can borrow your tagline, no doubt about it, Charles Bishop. That's going to be a hashtag at some point.
Hashtag, no doubt about
it. Coach Prime set up and the staff set up a healthy agenda for the student athletes. They talked to the compliance staff and academics, talked to financial aid and housing, student affairs. And also, as you mentioned, man, some law enforcement officers stopped by, but not just any group of law enforcement officers. They were made up of former players from Jackson State football. So they were able to, share their experiences, not about just football, but also staying safe, staying sound, staying aware of your surroundings, and that kind of thing. So just some good relationship capital being extended from the alumni players and those who work in and around Jackson and law enforcement to go back on campus and interact with the players. So yeah, Chuck, it was a good day, good start. They got there at 9 a.m. and they were busy all the way to 4 p.m. when that conditioning started.
Yeah, you take a look at it, and shout out to cousin Eric Shotty Green being part of that law enforcement cadre, former players, talking to the players, and that led us into talks with. We had Dennis Driscoll on. He talked with the players the other day, and then we go through the schedule, training room, equipment room, and then we talk about conditioning. We get to the conditioning part of the day, and you had an opportunity to put some eyes on bodies over there with regards to conditioning.
Yeah, look, one thing I'll say about this squad, Chuck, is they look the part. This is a well-conditioned, fine-tuned, athletic bunch of college students. Those linebackers, those running backs, those safeties and DBs, they look the part. I was joking with one of the coaches out there, said, "Man, Aubrey Miller looks like an action figure. He looks like something that Hasbro made. He just G.I. Joe and got him fighting or something like." A good-looking bunch of guys, that showed up ready to perform, in shape. Coach Prime had a couple of battery of tests for them. A mile run for the skill guys, half a mile run for those big boys, and then some sprints for the entire team based on their units and group, but not just a 40-yard and done. You had to do 5 40s with 15 seconds of rest in between, because Coach Prime was saying, "Hey, I got to know who can play back to back. Who can I count on first, second, third, and fourth down versus who can just give me all they got for first down and has to come out the game." So it was competitive. There was metrics attached to it. These were time drills so they could see what the drop-offs were, the pickups. And by and large, the entire team did well. Everybody was out there giving it their all and competing and motivated and looking forward to today, which was the first day of official practice.
Neely, and we've talked about this with regards to this fall camp. The spirit of competition will be very keen this fall camp. 3 starters named thus far, so there's going to be a lot of fights for position. And that's only, we talk about iron sharpens iron. You were able to see these guys yesterday where they were pushing each other. They were pushing each other to bring out the best, and everything is purposeful.
I tell you what, there was another side of that coin, though. Coach O talked to us about one of the last steps for this team is to become a family, is to become one, to become tight. And when these exercises, drills, if you will, first got started, you could see that these guys were kind of sticking together. So, for instance, when the wide receivers started their mile for about that first quarter or half, they stayed together in a bunch. And Coach Prime yelled out to him, like, "Guys, you got to compete. Like, I know what you're trying to do, y'all. There's no way everybody is going the same speed." And so when they got that fire lit under him, because he didn't say it necessarily in the words I just used, had a little more bass in his voice. When he lit that fire under him, you saw them start to separate. And shout out to Christian Allen, Mendenhall High School, Mr. 4A football when he came out of high school, played quarterback, and he's now receiver for Jackson State. He stretched it out on that mile. There was when he got that fire lit and everybody started getting their kick as well, he did a double kick, and he was one of those first receivers in that mile time. And I tell you what, who looked fantastic was Niles Gaddy. He stretched out that track, man. He really has got some motor to him. But for the most part, Coach Prime has always talked about how he was looking at that linebacker core, that the competition is so tight. You could see it in their 40 times when they sprinted against each other. You could see it in their mile run. Those guys are evenly matched. I mean, there was a lot of ties, a lot of close calls, and this is everybody giving it their all.
Everybody giving it their all. You mentioned Niles Gaddy. He was one of the representatives at SWAC Media Day. In fact, Prime named him a starter as well. So we talk about 3 starters: Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Spencer, and Niles Gaddy. And Niles Gaddy showing himself early in camp, if you will, stretching it out on that mile.
He certainly did that. That track is going to need some retrofits so it can look like the field does. But after yesterday, it's going to really need some upgrades, because when those guys on the trench as well, the offensive line and D line, they gave it all they had in their half mile run, and they certainly were competitive, in their sprints, because we had Dylan Spencer on recently. He talked about the conditioning. They're going to be an up-tempo offense, and getting out that huddle and getting to the line of scrimmage and getting to the next play fast. And you can see that those guys have showed up to camp in excellent condition and excellent shape. I'll say this to you, Chuck. One thing that I watched for as I was watching the DBs, because everybody's talking about how strong our secondary is. And Shiloh Sanders was impressive. He was leading the way on those sprints. Got the first couple of heats in. By the time they got to the third, maybe it was a tie, but for the most part, he was the front runner amongst that group. And Shiloh, as y'all get to know him out there, he's got a mouth on him. He's chirping all the time. So he's not going to let everybody forget. Yeah, whatever that means. He it reminds me of when Cosell told Ali he was trucking. He was like, "Hey, if it's good, I'm it." Whatever that
means. No doubt about it. Hashtag no doubt about it. But I tell you what, team meetings. We go from the conditioning test to team meetings, and I tell you what, this Tiger staff. They're setting the foundation early, lighting a fire into this team for them to mentally be prepared for this upcoming season. Hey, Jackson State is going to get everyone's best shot.
As Charles Bishop would say, no doubt about it. Because the expectation for this team is to win and win it all. And everybody else is hearing those same talks, and they want to be the team that stops us. Chuck, do you remember those pillars of Coach Prime's program?
Smart, tough, fast.
Tough, fast.
Yes.
So key moment on the discipline tip. So as we're getting ready to head over to team meetings, I had the privilege and honor of riding on the Prime golf cart, if you will, the off-road vehicle. Coach Prime showed up to practice yesterday on his 10-speed, but then we later rode on the golf cart over to the auditorium for team meetings. The players have been instructed where they can and cannot park. There were a couple of players who, I'm running behind. I'm going to park a little closer. Coach Prime gets off the cart, and I think we got pictures of it. Coach Prime gets off the cart and is taking pictures of the cars not where they're supposed to be. He uploads them to the presentation screen that was going to be used for the installs that night and had each guy stand up if that was your car.
Yeah, discipline has been an easy thing to pick out with regards to this coaching staff. Yeah. They harp on it. We can expect a more disciplined Jackson State team that reminds us of the days of the championship years, if you will. So.
Sure, and he brought it home as well as the other coaches when they talked. As each player stood up and there was their car before they were escorted out by Coach CJ, who's over strength and conditioning, to learn what their fate would be this morning. He told me, said, guys, if I can't count on you to park in the right place, if you're not disciplined enough to do that, how can I count on you to not jump off outsides? How can I count on you to not retaliate against a player and get a personal foul and get us a 15-yard penalty? These rules that we have in place are purposeful. We're teaching something. We're instilling something in you, and it's discipline, and we got to have discipline. So if I'm going to be able to count on you on Saturdays, I got to count on you for little things like where to park. So he really drove that message home. And, I know those guys after this morning are probably going to park, where they should park.
Hey, Neely, I wanted to double back to something you mentioned, purposeful. The sprints, there was a purpose to the sprints. And I wanted you to kind of touch on that a little bit because that was a very key point that Coach Prime brought out with regard to the reason or the number of sprints in terms of what they ran the other day. Sure.
40-yard sprint, 5 of them with a 15-second rest between sprints. And he simply wanted to see, like, okay, if you give me a great time on that first one, I need a great time on the second one. I need the same time or faster on the third one. I need the same time on the fourth one. I got to see what the drop-offs are because I got to know I can count on. Because Chuck, when you do a play and it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 yards downfield, the next play is coming back and you got to be ready to go. So that's a sign of conditioning. When you look at the mile run, you can jog a mile, kind of run a mile, but can you get up and go back to back like that? And that's what he was measuring. And his assistant coaches, they had the stopwatches. They were writing down the names and the times of each one of those heats, and they were measuring, getting the metrics on, okay, what's the gap between that third one and that first one? Did the guy maintain? Did he get faster? Or did he get slower? So we'll know what to work on, who we can trust. One of the things that Coach Pollock brought out in the offensive meeting, he said, look, guys, you got to understand something. When we get in game situations, we're not thinking of plays. We're thinking of players. Be a player that we think of. Be somebody that we can trust. Take this August camp and become that guy that we can rely on. Because when it's crunch time and we're trying to think of what we got to do to be successful, we're not over here looking for a play that's going to be successful. We're thinking of a player that can make us successful. And that's what yesterday is about. And that's what these next 30 days are going to be about, is building that trust, getting those installs down, because everything we do right now, Chuck, is purposeful, and it's all for week 1 against FAMU in Miami.
All for week 1 against FAMU in Miami, everything being purposeful. Bishop and Neely, we will be bringing you camp observations as we go along here on the pregame show here on the Black College Sports Network. And I tell you what, Neely, it's getting close, buddy. The football fever is within me. Getting the text. Everybody's really excited about this Jackson State football team. And this is the part where you start to gel. You gotta, it builds. It's a slow build as we build for week 1.
Now, I got to tell you something, Chuck, and I'm not trying to, cause any contention or animosity, but the head coach is the head coach. What he says goes. What he says goes. I want to say it again. And Coach Prime, going into leaving out of June and July, said, I have 3 starters. QB1, Shedeur Sanders, offensive line, Dylan Spencer, and Niles Gaddy on defense. Now, 2 of those guys are on offense, 1 is on defense. When you sat in the defensive team meeting and Coach Thurman gave his presentation, he kept it real simple. He said, guys, we ain't got no starters yet. That's what we're here for. In spite of what you may heard, when it comes on defense, we don't have any starters yet, and we only have one goal. And he put it up on the screen: win the championship. That's our goal. Our goal is to win the SWAC championship. That's what we're working for, and that starts with week 1. Coach T.C. Taylor, a JSU alum, the tight ends coach, really drove that point home in his remarks to the team. The guys, this journey starts now, and the first step in that journey, don't look ahead on the schedule, is week 1 FAMU. That is a division, a Eastern Division opponent. We have to prepare. We have to get that game, because if we're going to December 4th, and he asked everybody what December 4th was, and they knew that was a SWAC championship. He said, if we're going to December 4th, it starts on September 5th. Starts on September 5th.
To borrow a quote from Coach Mike Tomlin, the standard is the standard, and Jackson State's fan base, it is what it is. This is the expectation. The expectation is that you are playing for a SWAC championship. As you said, it starts now. It starts to get to this build to September 5th, and this is going to be exciting to really watch a theme within this fall camp: competition.
Yeah, and that's what it's truly about. Coach Prime talked about that in some of our sidebar discussions on yesterday. Was that competition and that creation of a depth chart, in which they do currently have a depth chart, and all the players this morning were made aware of it. But he told them, he said, look, fellas, when I got to Florida State, I was number 17. I was 17 on the depth chart. And the next day, I was 15. And what I said on that day was like, let me get me 2 more. Let me get me 2 more. Let me get me 1 more. And you just keep going up that depth chart. He said, because we are going to identify who our starters are, and that's based on who we can count on, who we know is ready to play and can play, that we can trust to be tough, to be smart, to be fast, to be disciplined. That's who's going to see the field.
No doubt about it. Any final observations, Neely, as we continue to build our way to September 5th? Me and you will be going at it together later on this week, and we promise to bring our Jackson State fan base all that they can handle and more of your Jackson State fall football camp.
Well, as always, Chuck, as we prepare for September 5th and what we got to go through to get there, we remind people and encourage people, remind people to stay safe. We're still in the hand washing, sanitizing business, still in the mask wearing business when gathering in group indoors. We're still practicing social distancing as best possible. And most importantly of all, the pregame show wants to encourage everybody to get vaccinated. The Delta strain is having a impact, much stronger impact on younger people. It's spreading much faster. But with the vaccine, although you can still get the Delta variant, it is not putting you in the hospital, and it's certainly not taking your life. So we want people to be as safe as possible, to have fun, to get ready for some Tiger football, get those season tickets. Right now, everything is on go mode. The stadium is going to be filled with fans because everybody's going to get through August safely, and we're going to get our vaccination numbers up. Chuck, looking forward to Thursday. You and I will be covering practice together. Thursday is scheduled for the first day in shoulder pads, and Saturday Tiger practice, we'll be covering that for you guys, is the first day in full pads.
Neely, that is a thing we will continue to hammer. Get vaccinated. Tickets remain on sale for the Orange Blossom Classic between Jackson State and Florida A&M. Now, tickets are sold out on Ticketmaster, but tickets remain available on the Jackson State side of the stadium between $25 and $85. Tickets can be purchased at the Jackson State ticket office at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, or call 601-354-6021. It is the revival of the Orange Blossom Classic, Jackson State, Florida A&M, September 5th. Tell you what, looking forward to it, Neely. This has been fun, buddy.
Always a pleasure. Always a great day to be a Tiger. See you this week, my friend.
No doubt about it. We got a team, by golly. We're going to win, by golly. For Neely, it is Bishop here on the Black College Sports Network. It is the pregame show, and we'll see you soon.